There we go. That's 4. All right, you know what? Do we want to do one more? In my best Ocean's 11 George Clooney voice. I think we need one more. All right, let's get one more. Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. No Connor Rogers with me because we're at DEFCON 1. This episode is DEFCON 1 when it comes to the 2025 NFL Draft, and that is Myles Garrett has officially requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. Now, this could mean so many different things, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you 4 trade destinations and just 4 trades overall that would absolutely rule. We're talking about teams getting an elite pass rusher still in his prime, but also some major changes to the 2025 NFL draft order. If any of this is possible, I'll give you a little bit of background, sort of where we are with Myles Garrett. But then what we're mainly going to do is pull up the PFF mock draft simulator, and we're going to run through some scenarios that could be a Myles Garrett trade and how that changes everything both this year and next year. So let's get into it. Myles Garrett, he said already, he kind of hinted at this, and he was like, hey, I'm not really wanting to be a part of a rebuild for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I don't believe he has a no trade clause, so he doesn't exactly have a lot of power there to determine where he's going to go, but he's requesting a trade. He's a franchise legend. If Cleveland's in a situation where they're going to tear it down to the studs anyways, because it felt like they might have been teetering that with everything that happened with Deshaun Watson, maybe they move on from Garrett, maybe they grant his wishes and send him off to a contender. Now, that would be easier said than done, truly, because Cleveland's in a terrible cap situation, and trading Myles Garrett would not be easy for them. Now, when you look at Myles Garrett's contract, he's going to be 30 years old next year. The cap hit is just $19 and then $20 million on the last 2 years of his deal currently. He's got a void year after that. If they trade him, that's $36 million that goes on the cap in 2025 in dead money. Now, you could say, well, what if they designate that to a post June 1? Okay, then they can spread it out over 2 years, but Garrett has a bonus option that happens in March. So, if that triggers, it makes it very difficult to spread out any of that money if they're able to do that at all whatsoever. I'm not a cap guy. This is just sort of from what I've read this morning on how this affects it. So these are from people that I trust who know the cap a lot better than I do. So I'm just relaying a lot of that information to you guys. Now, for a team that is trading for him, where we get value, one, it's Myles freaking Garrett. He was the defensive player of the year here at PFF. 4 consecutive seasons of 14 or more sacks, 6 consecutive seasons of an elite pass rush grade. This guy's 30 years old, but he looks like he is still in his prime. So any team that is trading for him, you might have to get some sort of an extension for him if you're going to trade for him. But he's very happy to go to a contender at this point, I think. He'll only be 30 years old, like I mentioned, so that's setting a lot of that up where the team that is going to trade for them, there's not really that big of a discount. It's like, okay, well, we're trading for Myles Garrett, but we're also like taking him off the books for you when it comes to a lot of that money. They're not really sacrificing on the cap. They're instead just getting an absolute elite player, one of the best in the NFL, at a decently cost-controlled situation, at least as far as we understand it right now. So the team that's trading for him, it's going to be a pretty penny. We're talking probably multiple first-round picks, maybe a couple first-round picks and a player, something like that for Cleveland. It's got to be worth Cleveland's while, especially for the fact that they'd be losing a franchise player and the fact that they'd be having to move some money around to even make this possible. Jason from Over the Cap, who does a good job, keeping tabs on exactly what these moves would take for teams, said that they basically have to completely restructure Deshaun Watson's contract, Denzel Ward's contract, and have to cut Jack Conklin for this to even be possible. So there's a lot of financial hurdles that would get in the way, but it does feel like the cap is a myth sometimes for these teams, and we're not here to discuss the cap and why it would limit the possibilities. We're kicking that door wide open, and we're opening up the imagination. So let's talk about some trade destinations that could absolutely rule for a Myles Garrett trade here for the Cleveland Browns. The first one is the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to pull up the PFF mock draft simulator right now. If you guys do not have a PFF mock draft simulator subscription, which is just a regular PFF subscription, go get one now, because the beauty of this thing is you get to run as many mocks as you want. You get to trade players, which I'll show in a second, and you get all those multiple round functions. It's just the fully unlocked version of the mock draft simulator, and this is the time of the year. It's these examples that make the PFF mock draft sim so much fun. So we'll start with the Cleveland Browns here. I'm going to select this second round here. Let's enter the draft. I'm going to be going back and forth a little bit here. So let's take the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are a team that very clearly they're right there, right? And if they had a Myles Garrett, I mean, that could very well be the piece that takes them over the top to get a Lombardi trophy. And I think any team that's put their hands around a trophy would tell you it's all worth it just to even get that one. So the Bills, in order for them to acquire Myles Garrett, I'm not talking about cap implications anymore. I'm not really going to go team to team. I'm just going to say if they can make it work out, they can make it work out. Because like I said, that was sort of Cleveland side of things with financials. For the team acquiring him, it's really not that big of a deal. You'd have to move money around a little bit, but to acquire Myles Garrett, you'd absolutely do it. So let's talk about what it might take. I think it'd take 2 first-round picks because I believe that Cleveland is going to want to load up for the 2026 NFL draft to be in position to get whatever quarterback they can that they love the most in next year's draft. Arch Manning, maybe Drew Aller, somebody like that, whoever could emerge, be a franchise quarterback for it. But I think it'd take a little bit more than that. I really would. So either you're throwing in a player or you're throwing in something else. Let's say 62. So it's a first-round pick this year, a second-round pick this year, and a first-round pick next year to go and acquire Myles Garrett. So if you scroll a little bit down here, scroll all the way to the bottom, you can select Myles Garrett. So we've got Myles Garrett for a first-rounder, and a second-rounder. That's what I think we're going for here. So let's force this trade here. Bills get Myles Garrett, start the draft. Now, here's what it looks like for the Cleveland Browns. Let's take Abdul Carter at number 2. I think this makes a ton of sense, right? You got to replace him. You got to be able to get some edge rush production there. I feel like they could have used edge rush production anyways. Nick Scorton is extremely tempting to go edge and edge, maybe to make up for it there. Looking at Cleveland's, I'm going to pull up Cleveland's depth chart really quick to make sure I'm totally familiar. Yeah, Okoronkwo, okay. Isaiah McGuire is there. Got James Houston. Yeah, I mean, they could absolutely double dip at edge. Maybe we will at some point a little later in this mock draft. But Josh Connerly Jr. is here, and I think that I think they need an offensive tackle as well. If you can come away with Abdul Carter at the very top and then Josh Connerly Jr. here, the offensive tackle from Oregon, to me, this would make a ton of sense, and this would be a dream draft for them, especially because you're picking in 3 picks anyways with your pick at the very top of the second round. So we're going to go with Connerly here. So if you go to your picks tab, you can see Abdul Carter, Josh Connerly. Oh, man, Nick Scorton's here. That'd be so good. Man, Siobhan Ravel. Dad, that would be... If he lasts to 33, and he might, right? He's coming off an ACL injury. I know the NFL likes him a lot. He's a very talented corner, but what an absolute home run that would be. Interior defensive line, I think they could use your interior defensive line as well. Oh, man, but Ravel is here, and if there's a realistic chance that he's a late first, early second round guy and he's here, you're taking Ravel. So we're going to take Ravel here just because it's too good to pass up, and we'll have a couple other mock drafts that we could do there. 62, man, I'm looking at, what do we got for running back? I think they definitely need running back. Travion Henderson to Quinshon Judkins. I think these guys are fantastic. I might go Quinshon actually for them to, I mean, either of these dudes, I think it's kind of a toss up here, but what about a receiver? Anybody make it from receiver? That makes a lot of sense. Royals could be good. Tez Johnson, Isaiah Bond, I like them, but man, I think I'd take it back that they really need a little bit more. We'll go Henderson. We'll go Travion Henderson. Fantastic college football playoff, right? Somebody who's really able to break out for them in a big way. So that's Travion Henderson there. So let's do that. I guess I should have selected the Bills. So here we go. This is great. So the Bills receive Myles Garrett. Cool. Look at this draft. A-. You absolutely loved it. The Browns, they trade away Myles Garrett. And if they did so with the Buffalo Bills, the Bills would get Myles Garrett there. They would be picking at 56. I'm not sure who they picked at 56. I don't think I can see that. No, can't see that one in the second round because we only get the team that was selected, and then we'll get the recap pick. So for the other teams, maybe I'll do that just to have a little bit of fun with it. But Abdul Carter, Josh Connerly Jr., Siobhan Ravel, Travion Henderson for the Browns if they're trading Myles Garrett to the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, the Bills get Garrett. That is their go-to there. So that's my pick for I can go there. There we go. A little full results. I'm a fool. I thought that was going to be a little card for us, and it's just right there in the tab. So let's see what Buffalo got here. Savion Williams, wide receiver. Probably not. Not going to lie. Probably go defensive. I mean, Derek Harmon and Darius Alexander went right there after him. Even with the Myles Garrett selection, they'll probably go with one of those guys. But that's the fun of mock drafts. It could be a lot of different combinations there. So, all right, let's go back to your results. Let's see. Let's go back to mock drafts. Let's do another mock draft here. What's the second team that I'm going to target here? Let's go with the Washington Commanders. This is a team that surprisingly made the NFC Championship game, but is it that big of a surprise? Look at what Jaden Daniels was able to do, how good he has been as a quarterback over the last couple of years at LSU, winning the Heisman, and then, oh man, Rookie of the Year this year in the NFL. Unbelievable. And then I'm a huge Dan Quinn guy. I love Dan Quinn. You saw what he was able to do with that defense in just 1 year of a turnaround. What if we added Myles Garrett to it? So let's see what happens. So let's select the Cleveland Browns again. I'll select Washington. Why not? All right, so we're going to go 2 rounds because I think we'll probably have another 2 rounds here. At least that makes it a lot more fun. So let's pull the Washington Commanders here. I'm controlling them, so I get full say. Can't veto this trade. It's me against me. So we're obviously giving up 29. We're giving up next year's first to me is non-negotiable. The Cleveland Browns are going to want to get next year's first round pick because they're going to want to have ammunition to move up for a quarterback no matter what. Because if you're trading away Myles Garrett, you're probably moving on from Deshaun Watson in any way, shape, or form. You're probably not picking a quarterback in this year's draft. You're loading up from next year. Again, maybe it's an Arch Manning, a Drew Aller, somebody like that, where you can really control what happens next year to make sure you can get the quarterback that you want. They're probably going to be bad in picking in the top 5 anyways. What if it's 29 first rounder and then because the Browns need an interior defensive line as well. What if they went a Johnny Newton, somebody that I loved last year? See, this is the fun. You could throw in other players as well. And Johnny Newton was kind of in a rotation this year. I thought he played fine. What if we go a Johnny Newton? Because Washington was able to get him in the second round, so this isn't egregious or anything. And then we're giving you Myles Garrett. Let's see. So you'd still have 61. It's 2 firsts and Johnny Newton for this trade. Let's do this one. Let's see what happens. Washington gets Myles Garrett. Cleveland Browns get 2 first-round picks, 1 this year, 1 next year, and they get Jerzon Newton. They get Johnny Newton here. So let's start the draft. Obviously, you could go with Abdul Carter here. What if it was Travis Hunter, though? Let's explore something a little bit different. Let's go Travis Hunter here at number 2 and see what happens at number 29 for the Cleveland Browns. So we're moving a little bit further down, number 29. Omarion Hampton would be great for this team. I think at this point you gotta stick with probably pass rusher. Any pass rusher left? Donovan Izaraku, I like. Certainly take him here. TJ Sanders, you don't really need anymore, especially if you're getting Jerzon Newton. Princely Uman Mielen, super twitched up pass rusher. JT Tuimoloau, I think, is within this range as well. Let's go with that. Oh, man, I think we should go with the Donovan Izaraku. I think that would make a lot of sense. Greg Zabel, he's listed as an offensive tackle. He's going to play center or guard for you, so you don't need him as much. Maybe I think we'll like the tackle options a little bit better for them. I guess it's 33, so it's not that far away. Let's go Izaraku here. They need offensive tackle, but I don't know if I want to force an offensive tackle spot here. Who's the next offensive tackle we got on the PFF big board? Maybe you just draft Greg Zabel. Joe Bitonio is not getting any younger. Jedrick Wills probably out of there. You got Posick. You got Teller. They drafted Zach Zinter last year. I don't know if they'd go for it. I think that they would probably. Oh, Ariante Ursery. I think that's a good one too. So let's go Ursery here. So that's good. Ursery was somebody who I watched on tape. I'm a little bit worried about with the flexibility just because he's an oversized dude. I know that might give some Browns fans a little PTSD after drafting DeJuan Jones. But Ursery is a better athlete. He was much better at the Senior Bowl than I thought he was going to be. So big ups to him. He's a really good zone blocking offensive tackle. Just moves really well. We just got to fix some of that flexibility if we can for him. So I like that pick there. With Cleveland's picks now, these are the 3 we got: Travis Hunter, Donovan Izaraku, Ariante Ursery. Man, I kind of like that. And then Washington's here. Man, who could they take? This would be a great Tyler Booker spot if Tyler Booker actually makes it here. It doesn't sound like he's going to, so I'm not gonna take Tyler Booker here. You could go with, oh man, Darius Alexander would be fantastic. But that would kind of just be a 1-for-1. What about a wide receiver? We got any wide receiver? We got any corners? Wide receivers or corners? Who we got here? Come on. Give me somebody good. Jalen Royals, I don't mind. Good player. I was way too disrespectful the way that I said Jalen Royals, a good football player. Corner. Check out corner for this team. Maxwell Harrison, I think this could be a really good spot for them because that would allow them to put Mike Sainristil more towards the slot, get a little bit more comfortable with him. We'll go Maxwell Harrison here for the Washington Commanders. So here we go. This is the second version that we have done with Cleveland Browns trading Myles Garrett to the Washington Commanders. Commanders, they get Myles Garrett and they get Maxwell Harrison in the second round. Again, if he lasts that long, we'll see, but I think that would be great for them. And then a little bit of a different look at things for the Cleveland Browns. They go Travis Hunter instead of Abdul Carter, who I think is the favorite if you're trading Myles Garrett to go to. So you go the playmaker and Travis Hunter, but then you get Donovan Zaraku and Ariante Ursary. That's good. That's, to me, really good building blocks for the future. Because remember, you're not going to be good next year. You're probably going to try to get your franchise quarterback. So there we go. That's if we have the Washington Commanders as the trade. Let's do another one here. Let's do a third one. Who do we got here? All right, so who's going to... Let's do Detroit. Detroit's the third team that I want to bring to the table because, of course, it is, right? They went through a ton of different injuries this past year. Can you imagine Aiden Hutchinson on one end, Myles Garrett on the other? Come on. This team, Patrick Mahomes, I get it. All due respect, they win the three-peat, they win the three-peat. But, dude, if they could get these two pass rushers... It's almost like, how do you not have Detroit as a Super Bowl favorite going into next year, given what they were able to do this year? So let's get Detroit in there. I don't think they would want to trade any of their players, Detroit, because they're in that Super Bowl window, right? They wouldn't really want to be losing anybody. So let's select Detroit, see who they've got maybe to trade. I know we're giving up 28 for sure. We're giving up the first rounder next year for sure. We're probably giving up 60. But is there a player I think they would give up that the Cleveland would want? Nobody along the offensive line. They're not giving up any of their offensive weapons. Maybe Ennis Rakestraw Jr., but they drafted him for a reason. I don't think they would give up on Ennis Rakestraw Jr., especially the injuries that they faced in the secondary last year. They're not going to want to make their team any thinner. So let's just go with the second rounder as well. So we're going first, and second that Detroit is giving Cleveland here. And of course, they get Myles Garrett. We're forcing this trade. Lions get Myles Garrett here. The Cleveland Browns get the first this year, and Detroit's second rounder this year, and then a first rounder next year. So let's start the draft here. Kim, we're going number 1 overall. Do we go back to Abdul Carter? Yeah, let's go back to Abdul Carter. Let's stick with that. Let's go Abdul Carter at number 2 because I think that's the most likely. And of course, Nick Scorton's here on this one. The ones where I would go Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, it flips around. And Connerly, that one just makes so much sense for them. I don't want to repeat too much, but I think I have to, man. I'm going to go back to Connerly. I'm going to go Abdul Carter and Josh Connerly again, just to, show what we're kind of talking about here with these teams. Jahdae Barron is still here from Texas. I don't know if he's going to make it there. Trey Amos. Oh, man, that would be beautiful. Jack Besh. Jack Besh was unbelievable at the Senior Bowl. He's fantastic this year for TCU. Let's go Jack Besh at 33. Let's go wide receiver. Let's get him another wide receiver here for Cleveland. We're going to go Jack Besh here at the top of the second round, and then we're scrolling all the way down to 60. Remember, we don't have a pick for Detroit because we traded all the ones that we're doing in this 2-round mock draft here. Oh, man. Dylan Sampson, I think, would be great for this team. Let's see. Okay, we got the edge. We got the tackle. Got an interior guy. I mean, I guess we could go Derek Harmon. Ooh, Alfred Collins, I feel like, is their type too. What they would want, because I feel as though they've got, they got Mo Hurst. They got Mike Hall. Man, I like Alfred Collins a lot. And if Derek Harmon's here, certainly could be the pick here at number 60. It sounds like the NFL is higher on him than I am. I'm about to go through final interior defensive line eval, so he might be a little bit higher when it's all said and done. But let's go Alfred Collins here. Let's just get the beef. Let's get the beef. See what we got here. So if Myles Garrett were to get traded to the Detroit Lions, this is what it looks like here. Okay, the Lions get Myles Garrett. The Cleveland Browns would get Abdul Carter, Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle from Oregon, Jack Besh, the Senior Bowl stud, the wide receiver from TCU, and then Alfred Collins, the interior defensive lineman from Texas. That's a pretty healthy 4 players right there that we have for the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you guys one more. But before we get to that, if you guys haven't played Pick 6 by DraftKings yet, what are you doing? You got to get in on it. The Super Bowl, it's the last game that's left. You got one more chance. And as the official betting partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like nobody else. You play for better payouts on Pick Six. That's the program there. You download the Pick Six app. It's very easy. Just do that and say if a guy will have more or less of a single stat. Could be receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns, whatever it is. Available in California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and so much more. And if you're a first-time user, if you've waited all the way until this, well, it's even sweeter for you. You bet just $5, you get 50 in Pick Six credits right there. Win more cash out on Pick Six. Down the DraftKings Pick Six app now. Use the promo code PFF. That's promo code PFF for new customers to play $5 and get 50 in Pick Six credits. Only on DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problems gambling. Call 1-800, call 888-789-7777, or visit cpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire within 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos. All right, we're back here. Let's go to another mock draft situation. This is the fourth team where I think a trade for Myles Garrett would absolutely rule, and that is the Green Bay Packers. Let's do the Green Bay Packers. This is a team that, man, there were a lot higher hopes for how they were going to fare as a pass rushing team. Now, it's always different, right? When you run a 3-4 for the better part of 10 years, and then you get a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, and he's switching to more of a 4-3 front. These guys and these pass rushers, they're in different situations, different alignments. Sometimes their strengths can't really shine as bright when you change up the fronts a little bit here. It was great for a guy like Devontae Wyatt, who had a good year, more in his home as a true 3 technique player that he got to play a lot this year. But guys like Lucas Van Ness or Rashawn Gary, for goodness sake, like they just did not have good years as pass rushers. 4-3, it's exactly where Myles Garrett thrives. So maybe they look at a little bit of a situation where he could thrive, and they believe they're going to get over the top for a Super Bowl. So let's enter the draft here. Make sure we select Cleveland Browns. That'd be smart. So let's go to the Packers here. Man, would the Packers be in a situation where they could trade a player? So you're giving up 23, and again, non-negotiable. You got to give up next year's first rounder. 55, I mean, what if they traded Rashawn Gary, right? What's Rashawn Gary's contract? Let's look it up. I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head because Gary was good for him 2 years ago, really good for him 2 years ago. What's his situation? So he's got 3 more years left on his deal. What's the cap hit? Man, 25 next year, 28, and then 31. That'd be tough for Cleveland to take on that cap. I don't think they could do it. I do not think they could do it. I think you got to still go draft picks here. I sort of entertained it. Maybe you go with like a Lucas Van Ness, because what's Van Ness? His contract's going to be a lot more cap controlled. Let's see. He's on that rookie deal, and he's been a little bit disappointing for them. Maybe you just try to get young. Man, cap it. Yeah, 4 and then $5 million. You got him for another 2 years. All right, why don't we do that? Why don't we get a little bit creative here? Let's say Green Bay gives up their, I don't know, something next year as well, along with Lucas Van Ness. So let's say it's a 3rd or a 4th rounder next year. Yeah, it's Myles Garrett, for goodness sake. Let's go 4th rounder. Let's move Lucas Van Ness on that cost-controlled rookie contract, and then let's trade Myles Garrett, obviously. So, all right, so you get now you're getting a little bit more ammunition next year as well. You're going for a 1st and a 4th because remember, if you need both 1st-round picks next year, that you're acquiring one extra one here in a Myles Garrett trade, having some more picks in this draft would be advantageous for Cleveland. So let's force this trade here. It makes sense getting another 4th rounder. So Cleveland gets a 1st rounder this year, a 1st rounder next year, a 4th rounder next year, and they get Lucas Van Ness, and the Packers get themselves Myles Garrett. So, boy, that would be pretty nasty. That would be a defensive line for Green Bay of Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Enagbare, Devontae Wyatt, TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, Myles Garrett. Okay, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking for this front for the Green Bay Packers if that's what's happening here. So, all right, let's start this draft. So Cleveland, So they only have 3 picks in this one. They don't have that extra second round pick. So I think you're going to want to take the pass rusher. Let's go Abdul Carter here at number 2. Wow, Jack Sawyer. Oh, yeah, because we're picking at 23. Oh, man, Matthew Golden is here from Texas. Oh, man, I love this. Let's go Matthew Golden. This is somebody who reminds me a lot of Stephon Diggs. His best stuff reminds me of Stephon Diggs. I like Matthew Golden a lot. Now that we're sitting here at 23, because it's a little bit higher in the draft with them trading with the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to go Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. And then we're getting down to 33. Colson Loveland is still there. Shaquan Revell is still there. Donovan Zaraku. Ooh, I like the TJ Sanders angle. I really do. I think that he's a stud. I think that he's a great interior player. Let's go TJ Sanders here. Okay. So, we got to pick for Green Bay. Let's pick for Green Bay here. Wide receiver, edge rusher, corner. Let's see, what kind of, we don't need, I mean, we don't really need, I just said edge rusher because it's the needs that we have on the mock draft simulator. Obviously, if they're trading for Myles Garrett, they don't really need that. Let's go corner. I think Azareye'h Thomas is their kind of a dude. Let's go with Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State. Had a really good day 3 practice at the Senior Bowl. Somebody who could play man coverage, who had a nice year at Florida State this past year. I mean, he's built the way you want for an outside corner. He fits the threshold boxes that Green Bay typically drafts with. So 55, let's go with Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State. So for the Cleveland Browns in this situation, they're getting Abdul Carter, they're getting Matthew Golden, they're getting TJ Sanders, and then for Green Bay's situation, they get Myles Garrett, and then they get Azareye'h Thomas, the corner from Florida State, in the second round because they didn't have to move that second round pick because they also traded Lucas Van Ness there. So there we go. That's 4. All right, you know what? Do we want to do one more? Do we want to round it out to a solid 5? In my best Ocean's 11 George Clooney voice. You think we need one more? All right, let's get one more. Let's do one more. We're doing one more, rounding it out to an even 5. The team I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's do the Chargers. They got so much momentum with Harbaugh. The vibes are so high. Joey Bosa, man, it just feels like he is not the same edge rusher that he was before. If you cut him, you save like $20, $25 million on the cap so you can move on from him. You still got Khalil Mack on one side, Myles Garrett on the other. Whew. That's pretty nasty. Let's see if we can make it happen here. So Cleveland Browns, and let's select the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to a 2-round mock here. All right. Chargers, what do we got? Oh, Chargers got a ton of picks. They are ready to deal. You're not trading Joey Bosa to this team. You're not doing a swap because, again, you're in a situation where if they're going to make this move at all, Cleveland, they're going to have to do so many things to barely get cap compliant. So you're not taking on Joey Bosa here. So I don't think they're trading a player. You're not trading for like a Quentin Johnson or something. I just don't think there's much of a point in that. So let's go second round. As you can see, the Chargers still have plenty of picks in the draft. And they trust their scouting department, which I think that they would. You could find some gems a little bit later in the draft. You could package some of these picks to move up a little higher. So let's go a first rounder, a second rounder, and a first rounder. And then Cleveland is trading away, of course, Myles Garrett. So let's force this trade. Chargers receive Myles Garrett. Cleveland Browns receive those 2 first-round picks in the second rounder this year. So let's start the draft. So the Chargers, their pick is a little earlier as well. They're at number 22. So I'm actually going to take Travis Hunter here at the very top. I don't think you have to take an Abdul Carter. So let's go with the Travis Hunter. I think that one makes the most sense. Obviously, I love a Mason Graham. I love a Tetairoa McMillan, but these are the top 2 players in the class, in my opinion, in Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. So let's go with Travis Hunter for the Browns here at number 2. That brings us down to 22, and exactly what I wanted to happen happened. You have a Mykel Williams who's still on the board. You have a Jack Sawyer who's still on the board. So you didn't take Abdul Carter at the very top, but you could take one of these guys, and I think that they're really good, solid football players. So let's take Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. I mean, the floor for this guy is so high, and I do feel like he played a little bit better this past year as well. He's so smart. He understands the game so well. Maybe he's not an edge 1 for you. Maybe he's not like a Myles Garrett replacement, but he's a damn high edge 2. And if he can ever capitalize it, you'll have one of the best edge rush duos if you're able to draft a guy who you think is even better than Sawyer. So as an edge 2, I think he's a very high-end edge 2 in this league. So we'll go with him at number 22 here. Remember, we still have 2 picks. Wow, Matthew Golden getting to 33. Man, it's a dream. Oh, Do I think that he's going to last? I do think there's a chance that he is at the top of the second round. All right, we're going Matthew Golden, the stud wide receiver from Texas. I think he gives them so much juice because, well, you could go Colston Loveland here as well. I know they have David Njoku, but I mean, you can use Loveland in a variety of different ways. Jack Besh is still here. Offensive tackle options. I don't think I'm going to love any of the offensive tackle options. No, you're getting to Ariante Ursery here, Kyle Kennard, Donovan Jackson. Now you're scrolling a little bit too far. So I would take Matthew Golden or Jack Besh, whoever you're a fan of. If you're Cleveland, that's who I'm taking here. So let's go Matthew Golden. We'll draft Matthew Golden at this spot. I love this draft already. Look at this. Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden. If you're playing Travis Hunter at corner, you're okay with Matthew Golden. If you're playing Travis Hunter at wide receiver, oh my goodness, Jerry Jeudy, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden. That is some juice in that wide receiver room for whoever's going to play quarterback for this team in the future. And you still got yourself Jack Sawyer. Oh, Cam Scatterbo is here at 54. Just an absolute workhorse of a back. Basically, it's pick whoever you want with these guys. Cam Scatterbo, Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, any of them are RB1 in Cleveland next year. You could also take a chance on a Cam Williams, who, man, the tape was rough this past year, but he does have a ton of talent. He's a great mover. He's a big offensive lineman. Maybe because it's a long-term build, you take the swing on a guy like Cam Williams. I know you kind of did that with DeJuan Jones. Man, I kind of want to take him just for the investment side of things. He got Darius Alexander too, who was fantastic. Man, that would make a great defensive line. But you still need guys to pass protect. And again, even to make this move possible, you might have to move on from Jack Conklin. I'm going to take Cam Williams. Curious as to what Browns fans think about that move there. And so there we go. If a trade with the Chargers happens, look at that A-. You love it. Starting out with an A- and ending with an A- here in this exercise. We went Travis Hunter in this draft, then Jack Sawyer, Matthew Golden, and Cameron Williams to really help out the entire roster here for the Browns' long-term rebuild. Again, we're still getting that first-round pick next year to set up for hopefully moving up to get whatever quarterback you want in next year's draft. And then the Chargers get to put Myles Garrett opposite Khalil Mack. There we go, folks. We flexed all the muscles that you can from the PFF mock draft simulator using all those different teams and all those different scenarios, and that is what it is for. Make sure you guys have a PFF Plus subscription to unlock the trade function, as many mocks as you want, as many rounds as you want, and you can have fun with where Myles Garrett might be going. I know some people are like, oh, he's not getting traded. That's not what this is for. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. Let me know what you thought of these trades, of the price here for Myles Garrett, if you think that it's realistic at all, and then some teams that maybe we didn't talk about here that you think are great landing spots for Myles Garrett. Who needs to go after him? Make sure you get yourself a PFF Plus subscription, run the mock draft simulator for yourself, and let's see what you got. For Trevor Sikkema, Connor Rogers in spirit, saying thank you guys so much for watching this spontaneous emergency DEF CON 1 edition of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. We'll see you guys next time.